Let me use this opportunity to welcome you, brothers and sisters, all around the world, to another interesting and fascinating edition of a very important program that we are beginning a conversation with a great friend of ours. This week, we want to look retrospectively about the challenges facing humanity. And the challenges facing humanity, I'm speaking in terms of the West African state of Liberia. Liberia needs healing. Liberia needs reconciliation. Liberia is going through a period of challenges and of difficulties. And it is a great honor that I like to use this opportunity at this time to have a great conversation with a distinguished colleague of mine and of ours. He's going to be coming all the way out of Philadelphia. We are grateful and we're glad that we can be here on the service of the Christian Vision Broadcasting Network. It's a great honor to be here today. Let me welcome you. My name is Zesek Wipagipare. It's good to be here. Reverend Dr. Moses Suah Dennis is a great colleague of mine. He is going to be coming out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Reverend Dennis happens to be the senior pastor of the Faith-Immanuel Lutheran Church in the Lansdowne area. He's going to be a part of our conversation today. As we intend to be very intentional, and we're going to be drawing upon Proverbs 29:2. Proverbs 29, chapter 29, verses 2, which speaks directly to the fact that when the righteous strive, the poor rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. And it's in retrospect to the prevailing situation affecting the people of Liberia. And this is why we want to begin this conversation in earnest. Today, we're going to be brief, concise, and begin to look at what role can the church play. The church, which happens to be the voice and the conscience of a society, what can it do? What role can it play in bringing about the change that is wholly and solely necessary in Liberia? That is what we want to discuss today. And like I indicated to you, I am greatly honored to be inviting a great colleague of ours who will be joining us to be able to look deeply at this particular conversation. How do we begin to look in retrospect at a very critical engagement that is needed to bring about the change that is necessary in Liberia? So if you just join us, I want to use this opportunity to say it's a great privilege. It's an opportunity that we're going to make use of today as we invite our brother and friend, lifting up the poor and the meek in the midst of extreme poverty, making the case about Liberia using Proverbs 29:2 as an example from a theological standpoint. How do we bring about this change that is absolutely and vitally necessary? So I want to welcome all of you, my brothers and sisters, those of you who are joining us by way of radio and, of course, TV land. Is a great privilege that we can be here to begin this earnest conversation about what is actually is needed to bring about the change that is so necessary for the people of Liberia. It's good that you can be a part of it. And we want to make this a very enlightening conversation. We want to make it quite educational. And we are looking forward to having our brother with us shortly to see whether we can begin this earnest conversation. It's good that you can join us in making sure that the brief time that we have together, that we can be able to look at this from a spiritual and a holistic perspective, and to bring some level of awareness to our people. How do we do this? How do we engender an agenda that is going to bring about the change that is absolutely and vitally necessary? I think it's a good thing, and we ought to be as clear as possible, keeping in mind the silence of the church, the silence of the great community of believers throughout the length and breadth of Liberia, who quite interestingly have to some level failed to be able to speak genuinely and vehemently to some of these issues. And the question then becomes, why is the church silent? Why are we not speaking? Why are moral and spiritual leaders not speaking to these pertinent issues, the issues relevant to justice, the issues relevant to equity, the issues relevant to what needs to be done in Liberia to bring about the change that is absolutely and vitally necessary? Why can we, as a believing community, those who are considered the moral conscience of society, why is it difficult that the church itself cannot be able to speak to these issues in times like these, in very challenging times that we find ourselves? This is the conversation that we want to have today. I'm coming to you by way from Western Pennsylvania. This is where I sit. And my colleague, Reverend Dr. Moses Suah Dennis, is going to be joining me all the way from Lansdowne in Pennsylvania. That's also the other part of the state. If you join us, or if you just join us, we are grateful and glad that you can be a part of our conversation. We're glad that you can join us on this particular day. And apparently it's Super Bowl Sunday. So it's quite engaging. It's quite fascinating. As we sit here, there is a great event that will be taking place in the United States today. So, but we thought that it is important that we can have this relevant conversation about what is happening in Liberia. So we sit from the diaspora, but we think it's significantly important that we can be a part of this particular conversation. So we're glad that you can join us. We're glad that you can be a part of this particular conversation. My colleague, Pastor Dennis, should be joining me shortly. So it is a great honor that we can be here to look strategically about Liberia. How can we lift our people out of poverty? How can we challenge the current administration that is at the helm of power to give some serious considerations in terms of those rudimentary considerations that are needed? The government is elected by the people for the people. And in a democracy, as the Liberian experience is, it behooves those who are elected to government offices, those who are giving the responsibility to state power, that they should be able. They should be able at all times, to be able to play the role that they need to play, the role that is mandated by the Constitution, to be able to ensure that the people of Liberia have access to clean water, they have access to electricity, they have access to decent roads, they have access to education. The children, those who are the youth, those who hold the future, can have a possibility to a future that is rooted in a generosity that encourages that those who are the future leaders are educated, they are trained, and everything is done in making sure that those who are part and parcel of the process of making sure that the future leaders are given the opportunity to participate in such a process. And that is the conversation we want to have today. It's a conversation that we want to begin in the series of conversations that we can be able to bring moral leaders to the conversation that on this platform, to be able to discuss the future of Liberia and what can be done to bring about the change that is absolutely and vitally necessary. If you just joined us, let me welcome you to the show. My name is Zeze Wipugi Pada, and I'm your host, and my colleague, Reverend Dr. Moses Suah Dennis, should be joining me. I've just been notified that he's trying to get online. All right. Is requesting a laptop. Are you kidding me? All right. We must be having some difficulties, isn't it? Requesting a laptop. A laptop? All right. That is what I'm being notified by. That the screen is requesting a laptop. We've gone 14 minutes into the program. And let me see, what is it that Pastor Dennis has? Just bear with us. We're having some technical difficulties to be able to get Pastor Dennis on the line from Lansdowne in Philadelphia to join us. Technology is problematic, and as we go along, a lot of times these things are done in ways that it becomes quite challenging and difficult to be able to pull out when we are engaged in a program like this, trying to make sure that we can get connected through a streaming service where we can have our colleague join us from Lansdowne in Pennsylvania. We're going to see how we do this. Just bear with us. We're having some challenges. I don't know why. Pastor tells me the StreamYard is requesting a laptop. Then how do we get you on the laptop? I think Pastor probably was trying to get on his iPhone. That seems to be problematic, it appears. I don't know whether it's feasible that we're going to get him, but that's what the conversation you sent her around. All right. Our text today is urging us, is reminding us that it becomes difficult, it becomes problematic when, okay, I'm going to invite Pastor Dennis to join us right now. Good afternoon, Pastor Dennis.
Good afternoon. How are you?
To God be the glory. It's good that you can join us today. I saw from the text you said the StreamYard was asking for a laptop. Apparently,
Yeah, I was trying to join you from my cell phone, but I'm home now, so I'm on the laptop.
All right, that's wonderful. But it's good that we can have you with us today. I was just telling the audience that we want to make this conversation a progressive one, to talk about Liberia, some of the challenges that we are having, and using Proverbs today as a text, irrespective of the very tight schedule. We will be brief, but hopefully next time when we do have you with us, we are hoping that we can be able to expand on it. Proverbs is urging us to be aware that when the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. And when the wicked rule, the people groan. Our situation is where we find ourselves in the Liberian situation. I just returned from Liberia, and you are involved heavily there. I am as well. And we owe whatever success it is that we have today to Liberia, because that is home. That is where it all started. Let's welcome you to the show. And taking from the context of Proverbs 29, verses 2. Liberians listening to you today, listening to us, both here in the U.S. and at home. What can we tell them? What can you tell them, man of God? What assurance can you give to our people? The challenges are quite enormous. I mean, it's just unbelievable how our people have been reduced to nothingness. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, certainly. It's my honor to be with you. And like you said, we'll try our best. This is one of many ongoing conversations that we'll continue to have as we seek to re-engage and be actively giving our voice to speak to our people and the situations that are back home. So I'm happy to be with you. I'm sorry I'm late and I have very limited time due to a tight schedule today, but let's get going and let's talk about what we need to talk about, and we can always return to continue our conversation.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl Sunday, so I know Philadelphia is it's pretty busy. But you know, one of the things I've been concerned about, Pastor Dennis, is the issue of the church. The church has remained quite silent in the Liberian situation. The church has remained silent. It's become dormant, and as a consequence, many people believe that the church, as the moral conscience of society, has definitely left the Liberian people on the wayside. How can we remain or re-engage with what is happening in Liberia, to be that voice, a voice that speaks to the conscience of the nation, and to ensure that our people are liberated and giving the opportunities that they deserve as people born in the land, to have the opportunities as promised them by God and also the Constitution?
I must first be careful to define what we refer to as the church, because the church today have many expressions, and there is the organized church, Some of them form the Liberian Council of Churches. Some of them form the Full Gospel, and others that are independent. But if I hear you when you say the church, I think you are speaking to those organized bodies, institutions that are supposed to represent the Christian community.
Yeah.
And I haven't been home lately, but I remember quite recently when I was in Liberia, I was able to visit the Liberian Council of Churches, and I did have conversation with them, and they, in their own ways, I don't know what circumstances restrain them from speaking, but I think, like you said, there are things that are happening that definitely calls for the attention of the church to speak to, especially the living condition of our people, the unemployment, the lack of development, the abuse of power, the disappearance of people, human rights abuses, and all the things that are happening. I think that the church needs to speak to, whether as individual leaders or as a collective body. I don't know what their approach are, and I would dare not, instruct them on how to go about that. But I definitely, in my opinion, these are things that the church cannot be silent when they are happening. And I will hope that if they are not speaking, then they should begin to speak. Or if they are speaking, they need to amplify their voice so that their voices can be heard. Because from what I'm hearing, it seems that nobody is hearing their voice. And so they need to amplify their voices. And I know the last chairperson for the Liberia Council of Churches, Peter Kotu, we work with him. He was here in the States. We did travel with him to DC, and we have visited with them in Liberia. And we try to engage them so that together we can, the voice of the church in the diaspora and the voice of the church back home can speak out. Like I said, when I was in Liberia last July, when we inaugurated the bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, he was very clear in his platform. He spoke to some of the plague of the nation and some of the situation affecting his church and the country. And from my listening to him, I believe he spoke the right things. But obviously, it takes a lot of time and effort for what he's saying to get across. So that would be my initial response to that. And I do really hope this platform we can use to also add our voice to the voice of the church, to make the voice of the church louder in speaking to the social ills, the economic challenges that are facing and hurting our people so badly.
Yeah, and I had a very interesting conversation with some Liberians on the plane that I flew on the return to the States, and just that collective approach that is needed in making sure that we can play that role, the pivotal role that we ought to play as Liberians in the diaspora. We have an incredible power that we sit on here, keeping in mind with all of our congressional leaders to be able to bear some pressure on what is needed. And one of the things, too, I also think we need to look at, Pastor, is that Liberians need to invest back home. Liberians need to invest in their land. And if the change is going to come back, we all must be vested in that country to making sure that the change that we seek, that change that we preach, that fundamental change can be able to come. I traveled throughout the country. I did not go to all parts, but I mean places like Banga, Bon County in particular. I went to Lofa. I spent a considerable time throughout the whole Monrovia and parts adjacent. And the reality of the matter is the challenges are there. And like you said, the disappearances of people, that is just a common thing in Liberia. Every time either on the news, in the newspaper, and these are rights violations that should not be taking place. And those of us who are the moral conscious of society to just continue to remain silent. So talk to me a little about what we can do together. You are in the Philadelphia area, and there's a considerable large number of immigrant population there, considerable number of churches. You are an ex-officio of the Ministers Association there. in that particular region.
Yeah.
What do we need to do, Pastor?
So I would take this in incrementals. I think the first thing that needs to happen, we need to separate ourselves from the problem, or we need to draw a line of distinction, because honest with you, the first hindrance that we have to being a voice in society is that many of us have already aligned ourselves with other political parties or with individuals and causes that are contradictory to what we should stand for as minister and as the church. So the first thing that need to happen, we need to practice best practices. Best practices, like in the United States, I think the founding people of this church was very smart to know that the church and the state must be separated, because both areas, in my own Lutheran tradition, we call it a God left and God right hand. We need to have a left hand and a right hand, because church is powerful and government is powerful, and power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. So the church and the state must be separated. That's the first thing that needs to happen. The Liberian church leaders have to separate themselves from the politics. I know in the past, government was church and church was government, and we know that did not play well for us. That's why our nation ended where it ended. So we have to practice best practices. That is, the church must separate itself from the government, because the government needs to hold the church accountable and the church needs to hold the government accountable. So that's first thing. And I think that needs to happen both at home and back in the diaspora. And personally, as the convener for what I call the Liberian Ministerial Alliance in North America, I have said to myself, I will support no political party, but whoever the people of Liberia elect as government or as leaders, I will work with them. That's my first thing. So we need to separate ourselves. Secondly, when it comes to investment in Liberia, we have to be engaged in what is happening in Liberia, because by being engaged, meaning that we are doing the things, again, like I said, best practices, like what we see the Ghanaians, the Nigerians doing. They invest economically to empower our people to earn, to have a living wage, to have good schools so that they are educated, because democracy cannot survive without education. And I heard the other day there were money in wheelbarrows that were being divided. How can you divide money in wheelbarrows when civil servants have not been paid for 4, 5, 6 months? These are deceptive practices, and these are things that aren't right. And our people need to know that it is their money. That money should be handled properly. Salary should be paid, electricity should be there, running water should be there, instead of somebody using it as a means to deceive the population to think that they are in their best interest. So best practices needs to be implemented, and we in the diaspora, we have to champion the cause of best practices. I think that will help our nation go a long, long, long way. So to answer your question, best practices, again, like I said, there's a lot we can go into. And hopefully the next time we are on the show, I will be able to share with you some of the manifesto we put together as the Ministerial Alliance. And that was published in the Inquirer newspaper in Liberia. And it's also on social media. And we can go into depth on how we see some of those things can be put to place so that the Liberia can be healed. As we titled that essay, we say, heal Liberia now. And we believe Liberia can be healed. And for Liberia to be healed, we need to follow best practices.
Well, if you just join us, we want to welcome you to a special conversation that we are having on Liberia. We're using Proverbs 29, verses 2, lifting up the situation on Liberia. We are hoping to continue in this conversation the next time when we meet. This is the first in the series with Reverend Dr. Moses Suah Dennis. He's an official of the Ministerial Alliance of Liberia in the United States. Senior pastor of Faith-Immanuel Lutheran Church in the community Lansdowne, Delaware County. And it's good to be here on the service of the Christian Vision Broadcasting Network. We think Liberia is something that we need to talk about, and we will come back time and again to place an emphasis on that, to make sure that our people can have some level of education. They can have some level of awareness to know their basic rights and the rights that they can demand of their government that must be given to them. And also to also ensure that those who are in government are accountable to the people, because you are elected by the people and you come in service to the people as a servant. You don't come in service as their boss. It's like we pay taxes. So the taxes we pay here, as Pastor Dennis indicated, within the American context, those who are our representatives and elected officials are accountable to us because we pay them and we hire them and we can fire them. And you have that right as a citizen of Liberia in this coming elections to hire and to fire those who are unrighteous, those who are immoral, those who cannot play the role to be able to make Liberia what it ought to be. You have that constitutional right, that God-given right that you have, that when you go to those booths, you in that secret space will be able to determine, yes, John Brown is this person from this particular district. Is John Brown capable to be able to deliver the goods and services? I'm not talking about the people that are putting money in wheelbarrow, as Pastor Dennis indicated. That particular money that is being put in the wheelbarrow belongs to you. It's the Liberian people's money. All right. It's not money owned by any of the individuals who are caravanting all over the country, who are buying cement. They're trying to construct road. That's not the responsibility of those who are senators and representatives under the Constitution. There's separation of powers. So we just start to make that clear. And I'm hoping that when Brother Dennis is back the next time on the very busy Sunday as it is, that we can be able to look deeper into some of these conversations.
No, you are definitely onto something. One of my hope is that we know that the government should be working for the people, not the people for the government. And literally, like you said, the people hire the government to serve, whether the president or the representative, the senators, the cabinet, they all should be working for the Liberian people. And one of the things that really gets to me when I'm in Liberia is that there are no roads, but these cars, expensive cars, are everywhere. And sadly, when they are coming, every traffic has to stop, and these cars come and go. And it's like we got it upside down. We should be fixing our infrastructure, our roads, our water line, our electricities, instead of importing expensive car that we don't have road for. So there's a lot we can talk about, but it's just unfortunate today we are resuming this, and I think we'll be able to be regular on this so that we can really talk with authority, point facts, statistics, and point to realities that we know and have seen. And like you said, what can we in the diaspora do? We can do a lot, but it must start with us having the right mind, taking the right position, and trying to do the right thing for our people and for the country. So I'm very excited that we can continue this conversation, but as I indicated to you, I can try to spend another 5 minutes to see if there's another 1 or 2 questions you want me to speak to. But again, today it's just introduction, because there's a lot we could go into detail that we cannot do right now. But the next time we are here, we are able to go into detail to talk about some of these situations. Again, Liberia is recovering from a war time, but that doesn't mean we should be stagnant. We see Rwanda, we see Sierra Leone, we see other countries that went through the civil war, and today, because of their leadership, the visionary leadership, they are doing far, far better than we are doing. So I think we can do better, but we need leadership. And leadership, our people must understand, does not come from the top, but it comes from among them. And they hire and they can fire. So they must be educated, not somebody coming to give them rights or money, but somebody that will bring development, somebody that will manage the resources that are there. Liberia is not a poor country. We are blessed with all of the resources we need to develop our country, but we need good managers, we need good stewards. And the Liberian people have to hire those people to be able to do what they are hired to do. So I think this conversation is very vital, and we can definitely build on some of the premises we have laid down today, Reverend Zizi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me get a closing statement from you. It's Super Bowl Sunday, so I will get the closing statement from Philadelphia, from Lansdowne,
Yeah.
for our people.
Yep.
As we close, just wrap up. Let's get closing statement.
Yeah, no, it's not just the Super Bowl, but there are other engagement I have obligated myself to.
Very tight schedule.
Yeah, I got 2 other interviews to do.
Okay.
But Christian Vision Broadcasting Network is back, and vision for me is very important. Vision speaks to hindsight, insight, and foresight. In other words, where we have been, where we are, and where we wish to go. And we need to speak to those on this network because it's visionary. So I'm looking forward for us to do this regularly, to speak to the issue that we need to speak to. We need best practices. We need leaders that have integrity. We need leaders that are well informed. We need leaders that are global class leaders that will not only be leaders in the local context, but can be respected on the international stage as well. And we need leaders that are godly, who do honor and fear God and respect and respect their people and shepherd them the way they should be shepherded. So I'm excited. Thank you for this work. Thank you for coming back from home. I will be going back in April, but between now and April, we'll talk some more. And like you, when I go home, I'll be in touch with you so that while on the ground, we can continue to speak to our people to let them know that Liberia, like Ambassador Mara Kassel said, Liberia will rise, she will prosper, in Africa, yea, the world. And that will come to pass. But God does not work in a vacuum. God is going to work with our people. God is going to work with you and myself, that collectively we can cause our people to be strengthened, inspired, so that we can rise to take our rightful place among the community of nations and peoples. So thank you. I salute everybody. Yeah. Happy Armed Forces Day yesterday. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be back either during the week or on Sunday when we have the opportunity to speak to our people again.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we want to thank Reverend Dr. Moses Suah Dennis for being a part of our program today. Issues relevant to the happenings in Liberia. We want to thank you for being a part of this particular edition, and that as we lifted up the issue concerning the poor and the meek, using Proverbs 29, verse 2, we will be back and we will go more deeper to be able to look at the Liberian issue, the Liberian situation, and what can be done.
Shalom.
Yep, shalom to you from Lansdowne, and of course from Western Pennsylvania. Have a good day, everybody. Take care, Pastor D.